Thanks for tuning into the Diaphragm Dynasty. I'm back with more R&B news or R&B topic in regards to one of the best albums I've heard in R&B of all time, and that's Ryan Leslie's solo project, which was self-titled as well. This album definitely deserved more praise than it received, and it's really an underrated album and an under-discussed album. I'm not sure why. Maybe because there was a lack of promotion or the time frame that it came out in, which I believe is the '05, '06 era. And he really, kind of disappeared in the scenes after this, but very talented guy, very smart guy. Harvard graduate at the age of 19, which is pretty amazing. And then he decided to do music, and he's a producer and a songwriter and artist. So he's a lot of things, a lot of those great things I talked about. The trifecta of being able to do all of those three things and not needing really too many other people other than an engineer for the most part. Um, but he made this album after discovering, Cassie, of course, and writing that great and producing that great song for her, me and you. And then he decided to venture off into his own um, art and his own artistry and his own solo project to give us his perspective on things through his artistry, which is always a great thing to do because the cameraman rarely comes out and becomes the actor. But when that happens, you get to see the art in a different way, the way they intended it to be, or the director going in front of the camera to see the art firsthand from their perspective, and you get their passion about the music that they've been putting out that you got a chance to listen to. And this album definitely did this. The extraordinary musicianship and artistry in this album, different looks and different perspectives on these songs, and he gave us a total look at everything that he was capable of doing musically. So a song like Diamond Girl, which was a single that he had, this song was very different than the other songs on this album. This was the poppy song to kind of get you out there to get eyes and get that crossover appeal to get more people to listen to your project for these people to actually know what you're about. And that's what those first singles used to do. People really don't put out singles as much anymore because the radio is pretty much non-existent. Even if you're using satellite radio, things like that, it's just not cost efficient anymore, opposed to just getting Apple Music and just streaming everything through a Bluetooth or something like that. But nevertheless, um, this album, should have got more acclaim than it did. But song like Diamond Girl didn't give you the whole picture of what he was about. And then he had songs like Addiction, which was comparing his love for a woman to a substance, which was a great song as well. He gets some more into depth, analysis wise, and just from the art of it all. How it was supposed to be, which was another great single. Just talking about that, the possibilities for the love that he had and things like that. Just giving another perspective in that love ram that I like from the genre. Um, But the best songs, of course, were not released as singles on this album. Now, the songs I just went through, those were singles, of course, but I always talk about the making of a great album is those songs those B-sides, those songs that weren't, released as singles, but songs that we love that are better than the singles. That's how you know if you got a great album. If the singles on the album were equivalent or even better than those songs that you release. And we know all the greats to have those B-sides like that. So this album definitely had that. And I'm not sure if that was designed that way or by mistake, because we know the label pushes the singles that they wanted to push. But, in essence, the artists know what the songs that are better, but those songs might not necessarily get the radio play or the spins that these poppy songs would get. But I'll go through some of those songs, and my favorite song on this album was the Valentine song, which was just talking about a girl being his Valentine and him being in love and just going through all the things as they say. But just the instrumentation, the lyricism, the vocals, this was just a perfect marriage of a song, and this is one of those songs that should be, wedding songs and things like that, but I don't think a lot of people know about it. But it's one of the most slept, undervalued songs that I've heard in my lifetime. And there's a lot of songs I probably haven't heard because there's a lot of R&B to go around, especially in this history. But this is one of the songs that definitely one of those beautiful Maxwell type songs that Maxwell should have had. But Ron Leslie did do a complete job on this, or a great job. And this is probably that was the most complete song on the album to me as well. So, IRINA, which is kind of like arena, I guess. But that song was perfect as well in that same realm of the Valentine song because he's talking about falling in love with a girl from a different language or a different country that speaks a different language, but they know each other. They're looking at each other and they know how they feel about each other. And it's a beautiful song. You have to listen to it to understand it. Unfortunately, posting stuff on YouTube, I can't really play music behind it, and you'll get a great concept of it. But hopefully, there'll be a fix for that one day soon. So I keep looking into it. Then the next song I liked as well is Out of the Blue, which is talking about, what if I up and left? What would you do? How would you feel? One of those in 70s type feel songs where it's given a different perspective and given a different side of the love and just the possibilities. And that's what a good thing that R&B does, talk about the possibilities, because we always have to be prepared for those. Shouldn't Have to Wait, another song that's in that how it's supposed to be type range. How it's supposed to be. Shouldn't Have to Wait. It's one of those songs, those demanding love songs that they used to have in the 70s and 80s that we all knew and loved. And he definitely captured that time period in those two songs. And lastly, the song Gibberish, which he's actually singing in gibberish and the song doesn't make sense, but it's such a beautiful song because it's um just talking in fragments and just all the type of language that you go into when you're going through a tough time in a relationship. He captured those, so you definitely need to listen to that gibberish song as well. But this was a great album, but it only topped the top. I think it charted high as 35 at its peak, and it received good reviews, but it's never mentioned in the best debates or anything like that because it's one of those sleeper albums. Not every album is meant to be in the forefront, but this album was definitely a uh frontward type album that could have been there, but in the mix of great albums, there's always going to be albums that kind of get pushed to the side. But we love those gem albums here. Tell me what you think about the album, and as always, until next time, I'll see you next time.